Realme 3 with a premium design. The Realme 3 doesn't like a budget phone at all. It's also have MediaTek Helio P70 SoC octa-core. The screen is 6.22 inches 19:9 ratio IPS LCD with Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The rear camera has a 13+2 megapixel and the front is 13 megapixel. It has lithium-ion 4230 mAh battery with fast charging. It has micro USB 2.0, has a variant of 3 or 4 GB of RAM and 32 or 64 GB of ROM. The price is around $134 to $174. The Redmi Note 7 may not offer the 48-megapixel camera, but it does offer a refined experience that won't let you down thanks to a Snapdragon 660 SoC octa-core under the hood, and Android 9. It has 12-megapixel and 2-megapixel rear camera and 13-megapixel front. The screen is 6.3 inches IPS LCD 81.4% screen-to-body ratio with Corning Gorilla Glass 5. It packed with 4000 mAh lithium polymer with 18 watts fast charge and it is Type-C. It has a variant of 3, 4 or 6 GB of RAM and 32, 64 or 128 GB of ROM. The price around €180. The Asus Zenfone Max M2 is brand new and has the new Snapdragon 632 octa-core, and Android 8.1 which is upgradable to Android 9.0 for firepower. The screen is 6.26 inches 82.0% screen-to-body ratio IPS LCD which is Corning Gorilla Glass 6. It has 12-megapixel and 5-megapixel rear camera and 13-megapixel front camera which is good for selfie. It packed 5000 mAh lithium polymer with 10 watts fast charging but it is USB 2.0. It has a variant of 3, 4 or 6 GB of ROM and 32 or 64 GB of RAM. The price is around €223 to €258. The Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 is just like the Redmi Note 5 Pro, but with stock Android. It has Qualcomm Snapdragon 636 octa-core with a GPU Adreno 509 and Android 8.1 Oreo, upgradable to Android 9.0 Pie. The screen is 5.99 inches. 76.2% screen-to-body ratio IPS LCD, but sad to say it's not Gorilla Glass. It has 13 plus 5 megapixel rear camera and 8 megapixel front camera. It has also 16 megapixel front camera and 6 GB variant. It packed 5000 mAh lithium polymer with 10 watts fast charging. It has variant of 3, 4 or 6 GB of RAM and 32, 64 or 128 GB of ROM. The price is around €160. The Samsung Galaxy M10 brings an ultra-wide-angle camera under €100. The chipset is Exynos 7870 octa-core with Mali T830 GPU, and Android 8.1 Oreo, upgradable to Android 9.0. The screen is 6.22 inches 82.1% screen-to-body ratio PLSTFT capacitive touchscreen, but it's not Gorilla Glass. It has 13 plus 5 megapixel dual rear camera and 5 megapixel front camera. It packed with non-removable lithium-ion 3400 mAh battery with no fast charging. It has a variant of 2 or 3 GB of RAM and 16 or 32 GB of ROM. With a high-res 32-megapixel selfie camera, the Redmi Y3 establishes as a selfie-centric phone in the market. But it's more than that, with an equally capable of 12 plus 2 megapixel dual camera on the back and decent performance thanks to a Snapdragon 632 SoC octa-core with Adreno 506 GPU. The screen is 6.26 inches, 81.5% screen-to-body ratio, IPS LCD capacitive touchscreen, and Corning Gorilla Glass 5. It packed with non-removable lithium polymer 4000 mAh battery with 10 watts fast charging and USB 2.0. It has a variant of 3 or 4 GB of RAM and 32 or 64 GB of ROM. The price is around €130. Also a selfie-centric phone, the Realme U1 has a 25-megapixel selfie shooter capable of taking HDR selfies and 13 plus 2 megapixel dual rear camera. The chipset is MediaTek Helio P70 octa-core with Mali G72 GPU and Android 8.1 Oreo, upgradable to Android 9.0 Pie. The screen is 6.3 inches, 83.9% screen-to-body ratio, LTPS IPS LCD capacitive touchscreen, and Corning Gorilla Glass 3. It packed with non-removable lithium-ion 3500 mAh battery and 10 watts fast charging and USB 2.0. It has a variant of 3 or 4 GB of RAM and 32 or 64 of ROM. The price around about €130.